1700 years ago, on the high volcanic plateaus of southern Arabia, a kingdom rose to dominate trade, diplomacy, and desert power. This was Himyar estate, so influential that Roman historians wrote its people controlled the incense of the Ard world, a reference to the frankincense and myrrh trade that linked Arabia to Rome, Persia, and the Horn of Africa. But hidden inside its mountain temples, archaeologists uncovered something far older than Himyar itself, something older than the Bible, older than Rome. A crescent moon, the sacred symbol of Al-Makka, the ancient South Arabian moon god, whose worship stretched back more than 1,000 years before Himyar ever existed. The symbol appears carved into stone altars, stamped onto bronze standards, engraved into lintels, and mounted atop royal regalia worn by early Arabian kings. Among these discoveries, a single artifact stunned historians, a moon-crested diadem. Forged in the 4th century CE, precisely 1,700 years ago. Not a fantasy object, not folklore, a real piece of Himyarite regalia recovered from archaeological excavations. To understand how this crown was made, we must enter the real world of ancient Himyar, its rulers, its artisans, its metallurgy, and its gods. A world recorded not in stories passed down through families, but in inscriptions, literally carved into basalt and limestone inscriptions, that still lie scattered across Yemen's highlands today. By 300 to 400 CE, Himyar had absorbed older Arabian kingdoms, like Saba, Kataban, and Hadramawt. Its capital, Afa, stood nearly 3,000 meters above sea level. Perched on a volcanic ridge, it overlooked terraced mountains, fortress walls, and ceremonial temples dedicated to the old South Arabian deities. Greek geographer Ptolemy and later Roman writers described Himyar's highland fortresses as white-walled and set upon lofty heights, reflecting the kingdom's engineering mastery and control over the surrounding valleys. From these heights, Himyarite kings controlled the incense caravans that crossed deserts from the Mara coast to the Red Sea. Traders, guards, and scribes traveled in long, well-organized caravans, accompanied by camels, military escorts, and record-keepers trained in the ancient South Arabian Musnad script. Life in Himyar blended practicality with innovation. Families cultivated terraced hillsides using irrigation systems built centuries earlier, stone dams, sluices, and channels that captured seasonal rains. These systems fed grapes, wheat, frankincense, resin, and millet. Archaeological surveys at places like Banan Marib and Raden have found remnants of these irrigation structures still standing after thousands of years. Himyar's rulers are not legendary figures, they are historically attested. Their names survive on stone inscriptions, bronze plaques, and temple dedicatory slabs. Abakar Abasad, also known as Azed al-Kamil, ruled in the early 4th century and expanded Himyar's influence across Yemen's highlands. Shamir, Ish II appears in inscriptions at Marib and Afa, recording conquests and building projects. News, the kingdom's final ruler, is referenced in inscriptions and foreign texts, including Byzantine and Syriac chronicles, for his military campaigns in the early 6th century. Across these sites, Merib Timna, Afa one symbol repeats with remarkable consistency. The crescent moon of Al-Makka's sacred emblem, a sign of kingship, a national identity marker, and the decorative crest placed atop Himyarite crowns. Archaeological and metallurgical research allows historians to reconstruct exactly how such a crown was forged. Himyarite metalworkers specialized in bronze, a carefully controlled alloy of copper and tin. Copper was mined in Oman. Tin, rare in Arabia, arrived via merchants traveling across the Red Sea from regions that traded with the Arabian coast. Inside clay furnaces, heated with acacia charcoal, temperatures past 1,000 degrees Celsius. Evidence of these furnaces' scorched clay, slag, and stone molds has been found in Timna Marib and ancient metalworking districts around Afa. Molten bronze was poured into stone molds shaped for different crown components. The circular band of the crown was cast first. Simple in shape, but requiring precise alloy balance, so the band would not crack or warp. The moon crest, the defining symbol, was forged separately. South Arabian art depicts a very specific crescent shape, a thin arc with sharply rising tips, representing the waxing moon, the phase associated with strength, renewal, and divine approval. Archaeologists have discovered identical crescents on bronze scepters, temple standards, votive altars, and royal emblems. All are linked to Al-Marka, whose symbol had dominated South Arabian religion for centuries. Pericasting. The crescent was attached to the crown's frontal plate using soldering techniques involving copper mixed with silver. Microscopic analysis of excavated regalia fragments shows silver traces, suggesting that elites preferred crowns with a reflective shine, a mixture of bronze durability and silver brilliance. Bronze represented earthly authority. Silver symbolized divine purity. The final crown was not merely an accessory, too. It was a political and religious declaration, one visible from a distance, gleaming with the symbolism of ancient South Arabia. By the late 4th century, Himyar society was undergoing major change. Many members of the royal court and wealthy elites adopted Judaism, a shift recorded in inscriptions mentioning Jewish-inspired reforms and dedications. Others retained older South Arabian religious practices, continuing to honor Al-Marka and other deities. Yet, despite these shifts, the crescent symbol endured. It survives every religious transition, every king's reign, every political realignment. Why? Because the crescent had become more than a religious icon. It was a cultural anchor, a symbol of Yemeni identity, continuity, and memory stretching back to the Sabaean kingdom, the Sabaean kings, and the earliest South Arabian city-states. Roman Historian Mionas Marcellinus wrote that Arabian rulers carried lunar symbols of ancient devotion. Himyarite inscriptions reinforced this continuity, showing that the moon symbol represented national sovereignty long before monotheism reached the highlands. For centuries, the Moon-Crested Crown symbolized stability, legitimacy, and royal authority. Yet the kingdom that forged it, the kingdom that controlled incense routes, built mountain fortresses, and connected Arabia to Africa and the Mediterranean did not fall to drought, famine, or internal collapse. It fell to geopolitics. In 525 CE, the Aksumite Empire, backed by the Byzantine world, launched an invasion across the Red Sea. Aksumite armies entered Yemen, overthrew Himyar's defenses, and confronted its final king. DH News historical texts, including Syriac chronicles, record that he died resisting them. Himyar collapsed. Its royal regalia vanished from use. The moon-crested crown disappeared from history. But the symbol itself did not die. Archaeologists still uncover it on stone altars, stamped into damaged bronze standards, engraved on broken temple stones, buried beneath sand for more than 1,000 years. A symbol that outlived the kingdom that made it, a reminder of a highland civilization that shaped ancient trade routes, religious transitions, and diplomacy between Rome, Persia, and Africa. A reminder that political power can fade, but symbols, once carved into stone, endure. This was life 1,700 years ago in Himyar. This was how the Moon-Crested Crown was forged. Not legend, not myth, but history preserved in the mountains of Arabia.